All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Kansas City Oasis. We are the KC's premier alternative to faith-based community. My name is Julie Randolph, and I will be your hostess and MC for today. We'd like to welcome everyone here in our live Zoom chat, as well as everyone streaming on Facebook, or those of you joining us after the fact to get all the goodness in, even if you weren't here with us live. So glad you guys made it in today. We have a great program planned. Before we get started, I did want to just send you guys a quick reminder, or those who may not be familiar with Oasis. I know we have at least a couple of new people today. Oasis is founded along 5 core values. So if you are curious, you can jot these down just so that you know. These are also on our website at kcoasis.org. Our values are: people are more important than beliefs, meaning comes through making a difference, reality is known through reason, and human hands solve human problems, be accepting and be accepted. So we hope that you see that throughout all of our digital activities and communication with one another. We do our very best to live those core values. Today's program, we have on the docket today, Cesar Asadi is going to talk to us about the Mind Power Foundation. Our very own Nikki Actips is going to be speaking about something amazing, sharing their lives with us. And Addie Dancy is going to be our musical guest today. So without any delays, I'm going to welcome Addie to play for us. We've got a couple songs. So Addie, please take it away.
Good morning, everybody. So this first song is about friendship. You got smiles and brains for days. You are light when life is haze. You take lemons, make them sweet. Natural sugar's hard to beat. And I admire the way you hold your head up in the fire. You don't never let up. And I think you're so dope. Yeah, you're so dope. Never met another like you. Tell me all your thoughts, cause baby, I think you're so dope. Yeah, you're so dope. So in love with what you do. Keep me in your life, cause darling, I think you're dope. Dope. You help me see what is true. When I see blue, I think of you. Walking past, we're hand in hand. Always know just where you stand. And I admire the way you hold your head up in the fire. You don't never let up. And I think you're so dope. Yeah, you're so dope. Never met another like you. Tell me all your thoughts, cause baby, I think you're so dope. Yeah, you're so dope. So in love with what you do. Keep me in your life, cause darling, I think you're dope. I think you're so dope. Yeah, you're so dope. Never met another like you. Tell me all your thoughts, cause baby, I think you're so dope. Yeah, you're so dope. So in love with what you do. Keep me in your life, cause darling, I think you're dope. Dope.
Amazing. So good. We're clapping on behalf of everyone. Hopefully you can see the visual clap.
Thank you.
Okay, please keep going.
Okay, so this next song I wrote a long time ago, but it's about how sometimes situations don't work themselves out, and sometimes I've been feeling like that recently. And so this song is called "Ain't Blowing Over." I could cry at any time if I don't distract my mind, but darling, that's the game. So I can stay sane. There's no magic trick to healing. The hard part is dealing with reality and knowing that the shit ain't blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. Amends will not be made. There is nothing you can trade for that feeling of closure. Everybody knows her strength will be found when she gets off the ground. Oh, 'cause she won't forget and she won't regret. No, her mind is set on showing that the shit ain't blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. No, but that's the beauty of it all. No order is too tall for this one to carry out. Even if a shredded doubt gets into her brain, she's got power to retrain. 'Cause she won't forget and she won't regret. No, her mind is set on showing that the shit ain't blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. No. Forgiveness will come someday. For now, she takes it one day at a time. Best believe that she overachieves and will reach her dreams after everything she's seen. 'Cause she won't forget and she won't regret. No, her mind is set on showing that the shit ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. No, blowing over. No, it ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. It ain't blowing over. No.
Yay! Oh my gosh, so wonderful. We love it. We love it. Thank you so much, Addie, for sharing with us. Guys, stay tuned. We are absolutely going to have Addie back with us very soon. I have a couple quick announcements, and then we will go ahead and go into our community moment. First announcement is, as you guys can see, Amy and David are here with us. Hooray! Oh my gosh, we're so excited. So for those of you just tuning in with us, or if you missed the news, Amy was so amazingly generously kind. She donated a kidney to David last week, dudes, on Thursday. So holy cow, if you see David, he's still rocking the beautiful hospital gown. Amy is home. They are both, progressing just according to plan. Sounds like spirits are good. David said he's ready to be out of the hospital. So we can totally understand that. David, you are with us in our thoughts. Hopefully they will, give that kidney a big thumbs up soon and you will be able to be released home. Jason is Amy's significant other. He wanted me to point out that we still have a couple slots available on that meal train. So let's go ahead, if you guys have the availability and the time and the extra food knowings, howings, please give a click over to that. We do have that on our Facebook private page. If you need any help finding that information, please reach out to me or Julie or Nikki, and we can get that in touch with you. Of course, our amazing musician Addie has her Venmo and PayPal information. JJ has just posted that in our group chat. So if you guys are willing or able to give a little bit of extra for Addie, we know that she would appreciate that for our amazing musical serenades we've had so far. We also have a couple birthdays. So happy birthday, Ashley Chams and our very own Ron Runke. Ashley is not somebody that I know by face, but Ashley, if you're here, let us know so we can wish you a very happy birthday. And then of course, Ron is here with MK in the wings. And we will probably wish them a happy birthday. I don't know that anybody's in the mood to hear me sing quite yet today. Also, we were told that Connie Arnold had an injury due to a fight with gravity. So it sounds like she fell down and had some injuries. Spent a couple days recovering with the pros in the hospital, but hopefully I think they are home now. So please send Connie your thoughts for a quick recovery and no lasting ill effects. And then from a administration point of view, we were needing some volunteers to help updating our website. So if you guys have ever been to kcoasis.org, you know that, we have to update that with, current events and here's who's who. We also want to get involved with our meetup.com group, making sure that people have that information out and available. So if you are a person, no experience is required, but if you feel like that might be a task you'd be willing to learn how to do or take on to help our community, please reach out to one of our leadership team. Again, you can reach out to me, Mark Dixon, Nikki, Julie Wisman, or any members of our board. So please let us know if you're interested in that. I'm going to stop talking because I'm real good at that and I just do it a lot. At this time, we're going to have Nikki come in, and Mark was so generous to help Nikki create the community 3 descriptive words. We normally ask our community moment members for 3 descriptive words. And I would like to share my screen with you for just a moment to help express these most sincerely. So I'm going to share my screen here so that you can see all the things that I can see. And we would like to make sure that you all know that Nikki's descriptive words are balls, attitude, and direction. And then if there was a warning label, it would be, why couldn't you just put Bunny back in the box? So there is that lovely introduction. Nikki, if you would be so kind, please join us for your community moment.
Thank you for that, Julie and Mark. I feel like those are better descriptive words and warning label than I could have ever come up with. So if you see me, yes, I'm tearing up because it was funny and also accurate. So yes, good morning, everybody. I'm Nikki Actipis. I am going to put on my timer so I don't ramble on for too long at you. Some of y'all might know me as one of the fools that helps run Kansas City Oasis. So cool, good job. If you don't know me, you're gonna get to know me a little bit today. I teased Mark earlier that I was gonna do another one about Nicolas Cage, but I've got something a little bit more serious here because I feel like I don't really get to share my life with you guys that much. So I'm gonna share my screen, potentially. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see that? Awesome. So today I just want to talk a little bit about teaching and the pandemic. As my subheader says, a brief story of a first-year teacher. So just a full big disclaimer. So anybody wants to fight me later on this, these thoughts and opinions are my own. They do not represent Kansas City Oasis, Teach for America, or Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, or literally anything else that I'm affiliated with that doesn't personally have my name on the title. See, look, I'm just gonna give all kinds of disclaimers first and all kinds of announcements, then we'll run out of time. So I also wanted to just take a moment to celebrate or acknowledge the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So in 1990 of July 26 is when we passed the ADA Act, or the ADA here in the United States. So just take a moment to reflect on what that means for people with different abilities. So before 30 years ago, there were no real standards that we followed in the United States to help folks with disabilities or differing abilities. So yeah, start off our story here, our quick story. That's me, ya boy, with all of my lovely creatures minus the cat. So just a little bit about me. I am a scientist through and through. I'm a biologist. I have a long laundry list of stuff that I've done in life. And one of the biggest loves of my life are my creatures. So the guinea pig in this photo and the rabbit in the foreground are my lab survivors. They came from the lab I worked at. So Riker is the rabbit with the big old ears, and that is Henrietta down there. And Louise is on my shoulder, and Miss Princess Ruby is down there getting all the pets because that's what she does. So this is all just in the context of me as a scientist going into being a teacher. So I just want to kind of put that into perspective before we headed on our little journey today. So the other characters in this story are Teach for America on a national organization level, Teach for America, Kansas City, and Kansas City Public Schools. So Teach for America is an AmeriCorps program. It gets either newly graduated professionals right out of college or people like me who have been in the game for a while but haven't studied being a teacher. So that's the side I'm on. And we go into communities that are impoverished and are often disproportionately, they're poor, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and dance around the word. They're disproportionately poor and underfunded. So that is a national organization. They send people to all 50 states. I, on the other hand, did not get sent anywhere. I volunteered to stay here in Kansas City. So that is my core. That is my family, is Kansas City Teach for America. And finally, I was recently, or a couple months ago, whatever, time is relative, who knows anymore, it's all make-believe, right? I was hired by Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, which is, as in the name, is a public school. We do have core members on the Missouri side that are in charter and public schools. So if you hear me say one of these, I'll hopefully reference which one I'm talking about, and we can continue from there. So yeah, the story thus far. So just for a little more context, I worked in a lab for about 2 years, and I moved to Kansas City about 2.5 years ago. I worked in at a preclinical research company, which means we tested on animals. So all of the lovely drugs that you're getting today, or all the lovely drugs or food additives that your pets are getting or you're getting, they came through us first. And they were in an animal model, and then they moved on to a human model, which would be clinical trials. So I'll be really honest, that really wore on my mental health as somebody who is very empathetic and loves other creatures very dearly. That was a really big toll on my mental health, and I only planned to stay there about a year. But there's not really any opportunities in Kansas City for what I want to do. I studied conservation biology in college, and let me tell you, those jobs are really hard to come by in the Midwest, which is a completely different topic for a completely different day. So about a year and a half ago, my journey started into Teach for America, and it was solely on accident because I was desperate to leave my lab job. So I got on Indeed during work, and I'll admit this now because, surprise, I'm not there anymore. And I was tooling through Indeed, and I don't even think it was labeled as Teach for America. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like something I'm up to. I strongly believe as a scientist that I'm a teacher, and I don't want to be a gatekeeper as, well, my time is up, apparently. So I'm just gonna talk.
Keep going, dude. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk for a few more minutes because why not? So I applied, and I got interview after interview with Teach for America, and I got accepted. So I got accepted last year. I was supposed to be part of the 2019 core, but for financial reasons, that it wasn't possible. So they gave me the option to defer to this year. So that kind of brings us up to speed. So in December of 2019, I got my letter again, and I was like, F yeah, I'm gonna do this time. I really believe in the education system. Well, I believe education is a right. I don't necessarily believe in our education system in the US, but that is another different story. So getting ready up until about March when things started shutting down and we finally got COVID-19 cases in the United States, and everything kind of dissolved rapidly, right? For cultural reasons and financial reasons for everybody. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And so as Caesar, as our featured speaker can attest to this, it's been kind of a wild ride for core members this year. He's down in Florida. I'm going to be in here in KC. Usually in the summer, we go to in-person training. We were the pioneers this year for online training, virtual training, and that was a lot, right? Because we were all like, oh, well, you know, this will just be virtual this summer and we'll see our kids, everything's going to be fine. Well, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, things are not going to be fine. Unfortunately, Kansas City, Kansas has told me and my fellow staff, not even just teachers, right? This is not just even about teachers or kids. It's about those paraprofessionals, those admin staff, those secretaries, everything involved. We were told that we are going to be online after Labor Day. So this is a whole new world. Everything that I've ever known about teaching through my mom and through the non-formal education processes I've gone through, such as teaching elsewhere, like at research stations, it's all out the window. This is a completely new thing for everybody. So I'm just gonna hit on a few points, and if you have questions or wanna talk to me more about this later, that's fine. So we're transitioning to online for the first 9 weeks, which is a completely new thing for everybody. And that brings up a lot of questions of what's going to happen after those 9 weeks. Will we start doing in person? Will the cases be down? What does this mean for learning in the future for kids? Why haven't we been able to offer this before? And as I mentioned earlier, today is the 30th anniversary of Americans with Disabilities Act. So moving to online during a pandemic shows that these things that we could have been doing sooner to maybe not only prevent this, but also assist kids who aren't able to attend school every day because, or have a lot of absences because they are sick all the time from immune deficiencies, or they have physical disabilities and their school can't accommodate those because they're not ADA accessible. it brings up a lot in that aspect. It also just brings up aspects for me of, as a biologist and as a teacher, now a teacher, how do I tell my kids who Teach for America has told me to advocate for, how do I tell them to advocate for themselves and to fight for themselves if I can't fight for myself? If I'm doing what the system tells me to do by coming into school and risking my life, how can I tell them they don't have to risk their lives? How am I going to be a good role model in that aspect? So I'm going to leave it there. I know that was a lot of rambling, but I kind of just want to be real with you guys this morning. I've had a lot on my plate. I've had a lot about thinking about this, and also just Oasis in general, keeping you all safe. And so thank you for letting me ramble at you for like 20 minutes.
Awesome. Nikki, thank you so much for sharing with us. I am a parent with kids, and I know this is something that, we've all been thinking about. Is it safe? Is it a good idea? Are kids going to learn the same? How can we change and conform? How can we keep people safe? If it's never going away, should we just say, well, to hell with it, carry on as usual? I mean, there's so many questions. We really, really appreciate your feedback and giving us the opportunity to kind of see the world from your point of view. I really appreciate that. So, everybody, can we please give one more round of applause visually or otherwise for Nikki? Thanks, Nikki. I'm going to change my view so I can see all your beautiful clapping faces. All right, fantastic. At this time, we are going to take a break. Julie is going to put us into some breakout rooms so that we can all kind of visit and chit chat. So if you guys are interested, you can take a quick coffee break, grab a cup of coffee or beverage of your choice, and we will break out into those rooms for approximately 10 minutes. When we return, we will go ahead and have a little bit more music with Addie and go from there.
Just a reminder to anybody who stays in the big room, we are still live broadcasting on Facebook. So if you want to have a conversation, just make sure it's PG. Thank you.
Let's go get some coffee. Let's go get some coffee.
Why aren't I hearing the sound?
Julie, when are you coming to get your cat?
This next weekend I'm in Omaha, so probably anytime after that.
Okay. He has been being sweet, but also he's a Sour Patch Kid. So first he's sour and then he's sweet.
Uh-huh. You gotta get all the sour off of him first, right? Then it's
He likes to cuddle and he likes toys. He also really likes potatoes.
oh, potatoes.
So if you're a fan of French fries, this is the cat for you.
Okay.
He also really likes hummus and what else? Knocking the toilet paper off the top of the toilet. So like the extra toilet paper, he just like knocks it off.
I need to get a new cat soon. I miss my kitty.
Okay, it looks like the breakout rooms are closing.
You need to get a kitty.
I want one. Somebody give me a cat.
Julie, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Julie? Can anybody hear me? I think my sound.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, Julie Randolph, are you ready to go?
She's gone now forever.
Okay. So
We
if
should sing
y'all
her a dirge.
can hear me, I guess let's go ahead and we can go ahead and welcome back Addie. Addie, if you're ready.
Everybody. Yeah, I'm absolutely ready.
I'll go ahead and be the backup MC, and we'd love to hear from you again. Thank you.
Okay. I've lost my mind in the quiet. Cyclical patterns make me lose track of my insides. Where am I? Lost to the cosmos, where I came from. It's not been long in the lonely fiction reality spectrum of truth that I consume every day. I'm lost to the cosmos, where I came from. Well, Sagan lost, I'm lost, I'm lost to the cosmos, lost to the cosmos, lost to the cosmos, lost to the cosmos, I'm lost to the cosmos, lost to the cosmos, lost to the cosmos, I'm lost. I'm lost to the cosmos where I came from.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh my gosh, Addie, thank you so much. I love the repetition because then you're like, yeah, I want to sing along to this. This is great. Ah, thank you so much.
That's awesome. Totally
Yeah. Totally sing along. We're going to get the lyrics and just have them ready next time you come. Great. Alrighty, guys. Thank you again to Addie for singing for us. We get to hear her one more time at the end of our program. I am going to transition over to our main feature speaker today. We have Caesar. Caesar, I'm going to tag you in here in just a moment, and we are going to hear about the Mind Power Foundation. So Caesar, please give us a little bit of an introduction and let us know what you have going on to teach us today.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Julie, for that. And thank you, Nikki, for inviting me to speak with you guys today. In my breakout space, I was very humbled to get to know a little bit of you guys, where you guys are from, where you guys are based in. So if you wouldn't mind, just for me to get a better picture of like where you guys are coming from. I know many of you are from the KC area, but if you guys want to chat in, like I know there was a couple in my breakout group from Omaha. So just to get a good idea of where my people are at today. If you guys could quickly chat in, that would be amazing. And a little bit about me. So my name's Caesar. I'm actually going to be teaching high school biology here in Miami, Florida in the fall. And Nikki did a great job of articulating kind of the challenges and adversities that we kind of have faced these last 6 weeks, actually. So it's been a really crazy ride, you know, being on screens, being on Zoom calls. I personally didn't even know what Zoom was before Corona. So it was a really hard learning curve for me, both, being a young man, you kind of think that you're able to be flexible and adapt to any situation. But I'll be honest, staring at screens for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week was really challenging. And it kind of humbled me, right? Because it showed me that I still have a lot to learn as an adult. And hopefully, whatever's thrown at us, because believe us, as educators, as incoming educators, I don't think there's been a crazier time in American education history to ever become a teacher. So it's just keep taking everything with a grain of salt. And I grew up playing many sports. I'm a very active guy, very outdoorsy. I was a high school baseball player. I was a swimmer. I was a water polo player, played football. Now I'm getting into golf. I'm really enjoying golf, and the golf courses just opened back here in Miami. So unfortunately, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the news, but Miami is probably the hardest hit area of the United States when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic. We've been averaging about 10,000 cases a day. So it has been really rough down here. It is what it is, but it's been rough, just to say the least. So I'm very happy to be sharing this space with you guys. And, without further ado, I'm going to be sharing a short little presentation about Mind Power. And as always, if you guys have any questions for me or anything like that, feel free to privately chat me, and I'm going to put my contact information in the chat at the end of the presentation. All right. So let's see here. Can you guys all see my screen okay? Awesome. Perfect. So let me do this. All right. So, one last important piece is I was training for the Navy SEALs for 2 years. I don't know if you guys know who the Navy SEALs are. They're the Special Forces branch of the Navy. Just to put into some context, those are the guys that took down Osama bin Laden. Also, they're involved with pretty much some high-profile missions that you may not ever hear about from the SEALs, but we're always working behind the lines to defend our freedoms here in the country. So I trained for them for 2 years, and then at 20 years old, I was involved in a life-threatening car accident with a Mack truck. Mack truck is those big 18-wheelers. So I say it this way. It's really crazy. I got hit by a 20,000-pound piece of metal to really have a wake-up call. But that's what happened to me. Suffered very, very severe injuries. The military doctor basically said I wouldn't be able to run again, much less, be a SEAL. So I was disqualified from the military. And I had a very intense 6-month physical therapy rehab sessions. I was doing 2 hours a day for 6 months, 6 days a week. So that obviously helped me shape the mental resilience and the mental toughness that I have today. But fortunately, I'm almost back to 100% physical capabilities despite, my medical diagnosis. So really, really glad. And obviously, as you guys will see with Mind Power, that experience really inspired me to start this nonprofit. And so Mind Power, as you guys can see here on the screen, our slogan is, let's break our mental barriers together. There is a creed in the Navy called the 40% mental barrier theory, which basically states that at 40% of your physical capacity, your mind slowly starts to give out. So whether it's working out, whether it's doing work, whether it's any type of capacity or any type of stress that you're put through, your mind starts to give in about 40% of your physical capability. So your mind already starts to give even when your body can give a little more, right? And that concept is something that is really preached upon in SEAL training. Everybody has, different ideas of who the SEALs are. Maybe you guys don't even know who they are, but they're widely regarded as, the most highly trained soldier in the world. They go through the most grueling training ever. And it's not that they're physically strong, because every candidate is physically strong, right? You have to be. It's more of the mental side of things. It's your mindset. It's your mentality that really helps and breaks you if you don't really have that really solidified. So that's something they really preached upon. So let's see here. Our mission statement is to educate, raise awareness, and provide support to student and student athlete mental health. So we're going to go a little bit more into that. I just wanted to share what our mission statement is with you guys. Here's our team. Down here, we have me and my best friend, Chandler Gall, from Indiana. We're both co-founders of this organization. Chandler currently, he graduated with his bachelor's in business administration from Barry University. And I'm currently going to be a high school biology teacher in the fall. And I'm also a head coach for Mater Lakes Academy. This is a public charter school here. And then we have our 2 other board members. We have Maria Wilson, who is on staff at a university for psychology. So obviously she's been helping us with a lot of the science stuff behind mental health and mental fortitude. And then Samantha Britz is our secretary. And she's actually going to be applying to medical school this fall. So she is focusing on that. Just give you guys a little brief intro of who our board is. And let's set the landscape, right? So why Mind Power? Less than half of adolescents with psychiatric disorders received any kind of treatment in the last year, and that is cited by the U.S. Department of Human and Health Services. So just let that sink in, right? Less than half of people with diagnosable conditions received any kind of treatment in the last year. There's limited to no access to mental health resources for student athletes, and we're going to go a little bit more into this with this little exercise I'm going to have you guys do with me. And then this is probably the most profound stat that is, verified by the U.S. Department of Human and Health Services. Over 40 million adults suffer from anxiety in the United States. Just let that sink in. 40 million. All right. So this is not, a very isolated incident. This is something that is nationwide that we have not properly addressed as a community, as a nation. And to put things in perspective, to kind of give you guys a picture of how we founded this organization, I just want you guys to quickly put yourself in your 16-year-old shoes. All right. So you're back in high school, you're in your junior year, you're a student athlete, you're playing, or you're in band, or you're a leader in one of your high school clubs. Basically, you have a lot of responsibilities on your plate. But for this hypothetical scenario, let's just say you're a student athlete and you're playing volleyball, all right? And right now you come from a household that is not the most stable. Your parents are currently going through a divorce. You're in a relationship with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or significant other, and things are not going well with your relationship. And on top of that, your varsity coach for volleyball is really putting a lot of pressure on you. You're trying to start on varsity because you're trying to get a scholarship for volleyball in order to help afford to go to college, because your family cannot afford to send you to college if you don't get any scholarships. So as a 16-year-old, think about all those stresses that you are put under. Just people think that it's normal, right? And it is. You have a rough day. All right, man, suck it up. You'll be fine, right? Just keep going, keep moving forward. But in reality, what that's doing is really putting a lot of mental adversity. And that's kind of a word that we've coined for Mind Power, is mental adversity. And so you get to a point where your grades start slipping, right? Instead of getting all A's and B's, you're starting to get C's because you can't focus because mom and dad are always fighting at home, or both of your parents or guardians are fighting at home. You are feeling very drained because your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other is not really providing that support. In fact, they're making it even harder on you by giving you added stress. And your coach is saying that, you know what, you're not really performing to where you were at the beginning of the season, so I'm going to bench you, right? But you need that playing time in order to get the college scouts and coaches to recruit you. So you start this downward spiral. And I'll be honest here, I'll be transparent. What I'm describing here is basically my situation in high school. This is me as a 16-year-old. And I start, just really getting into a negative mind space, as I'm sure pretty much everybody here can really relate to. And that affected me in all aspects. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I need some help. I really need to talk to somebody. I really need to lean on some support, some resources. And so the first person that I went to, or what I thought of, was my guidance counselor at my high school. I don't know what your guys' high school experiences were. I don't know if you guys had a guidance counselor department, but that's the first resource I went to, is my guidance counselor. And I don't know if you guys know this, but a guidance counselor at an average high school, so let's say there's about 1,000 to 1,500 kids, a guidance counselor staff has maybe four guidance counselors. So they have anywhere from 100 to 350 students per guidance counselor, based upon the first letter of your last name. So my last name starts with A. So I was a guidance counselor that had letters A through G. All right. I didn't even know who my guidance counselor was. I didn't even know their name, much less feel comfortable enough to go to them and talk about this sensitive information. So as your in-school resource, your guidance counselor, we can basically strike that from the conversation, because a lot of 16-year-olds don't even know who their guidance counselor is, much less have that relationship to go to them with these types of problems. So we looked at guidance counselors, and that's a no-go. Okay, so what's another thing? Everybody says go talk to a therapist, right? My friends, my family, my teachers, all of them are saying go talk to a mental health professional, go talk to a psychologist, go talk to a psychiatrist, go talk to a therapist, a licensed mental health counselor. And really quickly, guys, I want you guys to put in the chat, what do you think the average cost, hourly rate of a psychologist is without health insurance? Because we're considering the fact that not all health insurances cover mental health. And that's something that's a different conversation that we can have. But what do you think is the average price? All right, I'm going to take a couple seconds for you guys to just chat in. What do you think the hourly rate is? Can't really see the chat. Seeing, okay, good. So you guys are actually all in the ballpark area without health insurance. You're looking at anywhere from $150 to $300 per hour, depending on if they are a psychiatrist, how many degrees they have, if it's a private practice, X, Y, and Z. There's many different factors that influence this. Bottom line, the picture I'm trying to paint is that as a 16-year-old, do you have enough money to realistically afford 4 to 5 sessions with a mental health professional? No. I don't care if you're working 2 part-time jobs or you're getting support from your parents, which is something that's very rare in itself. So bottom line, financially, you're constrained with getting that mental health professional help. So that's something where, all right, we looked at guidance counselors. That's a no-go. We looked at mental health professionals, which is supposed to be the solution for you to work through these problems. And there's a financial block. All right. So who else can we lean on? Right. I'm a student athlete. So what about my coach? Right. Can I go talk to my coach about this? Well, one, do I have that special relationship with my coach? Is my coach playing favoritism with me? Do I have that type of relationship and bond with them to be able to approach them with this? Right. Because they're my sports coach. They're not trained to be a mental health professional. They're not trained to be guidance counselors. They're not trained to deal with these types of conversations. So your coach really isn't going to be that go-to resource for you. Even your coach, your advisor for clubs, a teacher that you may even have a really good relationship with, these resources, while they are there, they're not going to provide that specific help that you need, right? So think about how many options that we've already gone through as a 16-year-old. I went to my guidance counselor. I went to my mental health professionals. I went to my coach, all right? So we're really kind of running low on options. Who else can I go to? Maybe my parents, right? And this is considering the fact that even if you have that type of relationship with your parents, what if your parents are part of the problem, right? What if my parents cannot accept that I am going through something invisible that they can't quantify, that they can't measure, that they can't really help out with, right? My parents were the perfect example of this, right? I was a straight A student in high school when my grades started slipping. They didn't want to accept the fact that I was really not doing well in an abusive domestic environment, in a high stress, high demand, high expectation environment. And I was struggling with that, right? I really was. And they could never accept that. And to this day, my mother will never accept the fact that I was going through depression, that I was going through a really rough time at 16 years old. All right. So parents, sometimes maybe they're there, but for a general 16-year-old in the United States, you really can't lean on your parents for this type of support. And last but not least, your final, kind of line of defense is your friends, right? At 16 years old, do your friends have any type of training or any type of experience to really help you out with these problems? No. So at the end of the day, guys, we looked at 5 different options. We looked at guidance counselors. We looked at mental health professionals. We looked at coaches. We looked at parents, and finally looked at your friends. And there is no real solid, accessible avenue for you to go and find the help that you need when it comes to mental adversity. All right. So I appreciate you guys chiming in and participating in that little exercise. I hope that kind of set the landscape for what we were talking about when founding this organization. The problem, right? So let's just break it down really simply. All right. There's a disconnect between students and mental health professionals. I think we've demonstrated that. There's a lack of guidance for students. In-school resources are not being fully utilized. And access to excellent support for students is just not there. All right. So how can we fix this problem? Right? What's the solution? So MindPower's approach is mental health education, mentorship, teacher and coach mental health education and training, and access to excellent support for students. That is our direct approach and how we're going to be solving this problem, or working this problem, if you will. Just a brief little timeline of where we're at. So we founded in January of 2020. We had a launch at a venue. It was very successful. We got invited to speak at a National Honor Society. Doral Academy is a very prestigious school here in Miami. So we spoke to about over 100 kids at this little talk here. In May, obviously shortly after February hit, we got hit with a pandemic. So that obviously set everybody a few steps back, but that didn't stop us, right? So we actually partnered with an organization called Mind Over Matter. And we actually partnered with a guest speaker. He was the mayor of a local community here in South Florida. And he's actually been very proactive in helping us develop this organization since his first involvement. And then come June, our athlete mentor program, which we're going to talk about, we've impacted over 100 student athletes, and we have now developed a team of over 10 athlete mentors. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we move on. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, so I want to be mindful of my time. So one of our programs is the athlete mentor. And how does it work, right? So a student expresses interest through social media, school involvement, athletics, maybe referral, etc. The student is interviewed and placed with a mentor depending on what sport they play, what they're comfortable with. It's kind of like a hiring, not a hiring fair, but kind of like a selection process, if you will. Like we have an athlete mentor talk to a student athlete and so on and so forth, and maybe, see how they mesh, see how the chemistry is. And then step 3, the athlete has direct access to the mentor, obviously, and then all of our MindPower resources. So as you can see here, this is actually Chandler training one of his mentors right now. He's personal trainer certified, right? So as athletes, what's something that is really big is, training yourself, physically. And on top of that, mentally. So we focus on both aspects, the mental and the physical, for student athletes. And we're just going to really cap off with this. Why now, right? So obviously the COVID-19 landscape, I just want this to this is a stat that I think everybody can appreciate. Never in the 250-year plus history of the United States have students been outside of a traditional classroom setting longer than they have now in 2020. All right. So never in the history of education have our students here in the United States been outside of a traditional classroom setting for this long. All right. So what kind of mental impact do you think that's going to have on kids? How many kids use school as their safe haven? How many kids didn't have meals to eat other than what the school district was providing for them? Right. How do you think that's going to impact them mentally? Right. And we're talking about the general scope here. All right. Here's some really promising signs and what gives us some sort of validation. The NCAA, which is the collegiate governing board, has rolled out new legislation to address mental health in their athletes. The NBA, the National Basketball Association, now requires every team to have a sports psychologist on staff. So think about that. They are recognizing the importance of mental health in athletics and how they can start working towards a solution. And the mental health awareness wave is coming, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen, maybe some of your friends have really been more vulnerable, really more vocal about what they're going through mentally. And this is something that's very important. And a great analogy that I want to bring up to you guys is nutrition, right? Nutritionists, everybody thought that nutrition is, all right, eat a burger, eat some steak, eat your greens, and you're going to be fine, right? And while to a certain extent that may be true, there's so much more that goes into nutrition, specifically when it comes to athletics, that never really wasn't addressed before. So a great analogy that was brought up by one of the sports psychologists that we're currently partnered with is the Premier League is like the NFL of soccer internationally. They're based in Europe. They're the highest paid athletes in the world. I mean, we're talking $1 billion contracts with a B for these athletes in these Premier Leagues. And they did not have nutritionists on their staff about 30 years ago. Now, every Premier League club, so every soccer club has a team of nutritionists on their staff. But 30 years ago, they weren't. Why is that, right? It's because people started understanding the importance of nutrition in athletics, and that's why nutritionists have started coming aboard. Sports psychology is still a relatively new field, and now you see the wave starting to come in. So Mind Power is seeking to address this problem at the high school level, right? And then our next steps here, you guys can just read through this, but this is basically just to give you guys a timeline. I don't know if you guys are familiar with DARE, if you guys are familiar with that program about, education about drug abuse and drug violence. So our end game is to start a program similar to that, but focused on mental health education for our youth. They really need to understand what it is they're going through, how to manage stress and anxiety. And to end things off, guys, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, is just to give you a short example of what we do here, a part of Mind Power. So thank you, guys. One thing that I'm going to ask you guys to do is I'm teaching you guys here what box breathing is. All right. And box breathing simply is a simple breathing technique that anybody can implement in their lives. It requires a 4-second inhale through the nose, a 4-second hold, and a 4-second exhale through the mouth. Now, I was taught this in SEAL training, surprisingly, because breathing is the first step into gaining control over your mental state and your physical state. All right, so I'm going to ask everybody, and I'll do a quick example. I'll go through one cycle, and then I'm going to ask you guys to do the breathing, the box breathing, if you can. I don't know if there's anything that may prevent you. So this is completely optional, but I just want to show you guys how simple this is. All right, so I'm going to do an example, and then we can do it together one time. All right, so it's going to be a 4-second inhale through the nose. So it's going to be hold, exhale through the mouth. All right, so it's very important, and we're going to do this all together now, that even if you feel like you can't inhale or exhale any more air, that you still perform that motion, you still perform that movement. All right, so we're going to do it all together now. 3, 2, 1, inhale, hold, exhale. And just that one cycle, you should already start feeling maybe a little bit more relaxed, maybe a little bit more centered. So whenever you're feeling a little bit, your heart rate is racing, or you're feeling a little bit, discombobulated, or you have a lot of thoughts going on in your head, just do that simple box breathing technique, guys. And I guarantee you that after a few cycles, you're going to feel more at peace, more calm. And that's so important for us, especially now with everything that's going on. So guys, thank you very much for listening to me and hearing out Mind Power. And I'm very humbled to be here. And thank you very much.
Perfect. Awesome. Caesar, thank you so much for talking with us. Everybody, let's give Caesar a big round of applause. So cool. I am so glad to hear that our youth are going to have some resources, especially those who are struggling with just all the role strain of, I'm a student, I'm an athlete, I'm a friend, I'm a son or daughter. There's a lot going on, especially in those kids' lives on a daily basis. So thanks to you and your team for being a resource to those kids. And I'm a little selfish. I'm like, well, I want to be, stronger in my own mental fortitude. So we'll be curious to see if you're not part of our Facebook private page. please feel free to reach out to one of us. We can add you to that page, and we would love if you have resources or success stories or anything along those lines to share. We always love to hear how our speakers are doing after the fact. Do you have time for a couple questions? Yeah, okay, he's nodding.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, I think some people are going to be linking the Mind Power Foundation that's on there. You put a couple links on here too. Nikki had asked, how can we support the Mind Power Foundation?
So right now, we actually just got our 501c3 license through the IRS. So we are an official federal nonprofit. We're in the process. So we're accepting donations. Obviously, if that's something that you guys can do, you can just message me privately about that. But right now, just a simple thing you do is support us on social media, right? So we are currently, I just put the Facebook in there, and I'm gonna quickly put the link in there for, convenience. And then also we have an Instagram. So one of the biggest ways that we try and disseminate information to the youth is obviously, all, high school students are on their phones, they're on social media. So instead of them, doing whatever they do on social media, how about just a simple post that says, here's like box breathing, for example. We have a video about it. And we've had very positive feedback from the youth so far about that, because you got to use their resources. You got to think like a 16-year-old. What do 16-year-olds use? How can we effectively relate to them? And as a teacher as well, I have to kind of think like this too, because especially now that we're virtual, how can we engage with the youth? So that's kind of our approach right now, is the online presence. We also have a website that does have a donation link here. I'm going to link that here in the chat, mindpowerathlete.com. And then, so that for right now, just support us on social media. And then if you guys are interested in learning more or how you can become involved, let me put my personal contact information here as well. So here's the email. That's my email if you're interested in learning more about Mind Power. And I hope that answers your question a little bit.
I feel like there needs to be like a TikTok video about how to do whatever. I'm not good at any of those things. I used to do ballet, and that's very different than all the cool stuff people do on TikTok. But so if we have any amazing TikTok dancers out there, we will get you in touch with Caesar, and you guys can do like a box breathing, robot dance. I don't know how that works. Excellent. And then gosh, you gave such a thorough bio. I feel like I don't have any questions that pop to my brain. Anybody else have questions that you guys want to ask of Caesar other than how can we support? I feel like you did a really great explanation of why this is a passion of yours.
Can I just come off mute and ask another one? Because
yeah, please.
Of course. So with everything that's going on, especially in Florida right now, Kansas City is also a hot spot, but Florida for sure is a hot spot. So how is this going to look like for you guys supporting students this year? Because, you can't meet these kids in person, there's social media and everything, but how have you guys thought about that yet? What that's going to look like?
That's a great question, Nikki. So we've already, we're utilizing Zoom. So after this, actually, I have 4 mentees coaching calls scheduled. They take anywhere from around, 15 to an hour, depending on what we got to talk about and stuff like that. So we're really utilizing and working the problem, right? In the SEALs, I was always taught work the problem. If there's an obstacle, if there's a form of adversity in your way, you work the problem. And we use Zoom, obviously FaceTime. So virtual calls mainly is how we perform our mentee calls, and what do we talk about during these mentee calls, right? So for example, I have a girl in Indiana right now currently. She is going to start her freshman year of college, and she really needs help with her visualization and her pre-race routine. She's a swimmer. So we've really been working on that, working on visualization, like how you can kind of calm your mind before the race, because obviously there's a lot of anxiety, especially as a freshman going into college, swimming at an NCAA level. There's a lot going on there, right? On top of her wanting to go into bio pre-med, as Nikki and I can both attest. I don't know if anybody else is bio majors out there, but it's a very rigorous curriculum. It's a very rigorous curriculum, right? So you have really tough academics on top of athletics, on top of, maintaining her scholarship or trying to get more scholarship money. It's a lot, right? So having that mentor there, that kind of resource for her to always fall back on is something I could have used at 16, 17, 18, even in college. And in the professional world, I'm sure many of you have heard of the importance of having a mentor in your industry, and how it's been implemented in the professional world. Why not implement it at the high school level, right? How important and how essential would that be for them? So.
Excellent. Perfect. Fred had asked a question. He said he just agreed with you that the core of meditation is the breath. Your work is very important, including the prevention of mass murder. And do you have any expectations or expansion plans?
I'm actually very interested that Fred brought that up, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the high school here in South Florida, that unfortunately 17 high school students were murdered on Valentine's Day of all days. We're actually partnered and working with students at that school now currently, because as you can imagine, that's been the spotlight of mental health professionals around the globe. So to answer your question, to prevent mass murder, I don't think that Mind Power is going to directly prevent mass murder. I think what we can do is build that community and that safe space for those high schoolers that are struggling from whatever adversity that they're faced with, through mentorship, building those communities, having that in-school club similar to National Honor Society, Key Club, student government. Having a similar club like that focuses on mindfulness, meditation, the importance of taking care of yourself mentally, I think that may play a role in helping to prevent mass murder specifically. Obviously, if you create that safe space, kids that are struggling, kids that are being bullied, because that's still a very real thing. That it's not like, it just vanished. It's still a very real thing. Giving them a space for them to be vulnerable and talk, having them feel heard, right? Because a lot of these kids just do not feel like their voice matters, or they're even feeling heard and feel comfortable and safe, right? So that's our main goal. And when it comes to the expansion plan, so I'm currently in the works of, one of the reasons why I joined Teach for America is they're a national nonprofit that partners with schools around the country. And my end game, my end vision for this is to potentially partner with Teach for America and offer this program similar to DARE. I don't know, I brought up the analogy during the presentation, but DARE is the end game here. Having that program implemented in as many schools as possible to show kids the importance of mental health and how they can take control of their mental health. So I hope that answers your question.
That is such a helpful, I am an infographics lover. So if you guys ever, have developers who make infographics about those box breathing techniques, or hey, here's how to boost your mental toughness. If you're just having a rough day, here are some tips and tricks to get you out of it. Those are all those wonderful things that we would love to have you pass on, because I don't know about the rest of you adults, but I still struggle with some mental toughness now and then, just like I'm sure we all do. So I wish we could just chit chat about this more. I'm sure Caesar, I know you have some other meetings, but maybe if you have a minute or two to hang around, people can ask you questions a little bit more dynamically once we're done with our live stream. But Caesar gave me the perfect segue. Oasis is actually a 501c3 as well. So we love having all of you guys join us as part of our community. I know we were starting to tally numbers, and we just had a ton of people here today. I'm so glad to be joining all of you for our amazing programming today. Julie has put in the link if you guys are interested to donate to our 501c3. You can click on kcoasis.org/donate. You can also text to give. The text to give number is 816-839-7656. You can also set up a recurring donation at Simple Give, and the link for that is on our kcoasis.org page as well. At this time, I would like to, again, thank Caesar so much for your wonderful contributions to letting us know about these amazing programs and kind of our own mental fortitude. I hope everybody's challenge this week is to do box breathing at least once a day, right? I think that's a good place to start. And we would like to invite Addie to come back one more time. If you guys are willing to give Addie a little bit of an extra bonus or a tip, we have those links in our chat windows. And then reach out to Caesar too if you have questions, or if you want to support him in some way, if you have recommendations or just stories about your own overcoming. I'm sure Caesar would be happy to hear from all of you. So with that, Addie, I will let you take it away for our last song.
The fisherman comes up, puts his 2 poles in the sand. He stares out at the sea, just exactly like me. a book in my hand, we will have caught on to something by the end of the day. But mostly we think about the one that got away. I've seen like a bird what pleasures the surface can bring. I've lost my best craft, going foolishly back to where the sirens sing. I stared up at the place where the water meets the sky, and though I stopped breathing, I still believed I should try. Maybe a boat in search of lost treasures will pass by, 'cause the fleet of hope is so pretty when she's shining in the port, and the harbor clings to the jetty for protection and support. Out in the choppy waters, the sharks swim and play. You're all washed up, and Poseidon has his day. I've walked through the desert, climbed over mountains so high, through jungles and plains. I took buses and trains, and airplanes across the sky, but none as seductive as ocean before me alone. And now I know why you layered your pockets with stones, 'cause the fleet of hope is so pretty when she's shining in the port, and the harbor clings to the jetty for protection and support. And out in the choppy waters, the sharks swim and play. You're all washed up, and Poseidon has his day. When I was a girl, all of my fancy took flight, and I had this dream could outshine anything, even the darkest night. Now I wait like a widow for someone to come back from sea, and I've always known I was waiting for me, 'cause the fleet of hope is so pretty when she's shining in the port, and the harbor clings to the jetty for protection and support. Out in the choppy waters, the sharks swim and play. Hey, you're all washed up, and Poseidon has his day. That's an Indigo Grace.
Oh, Addie, so beautiful. Please tell us really quickly, where can we listen to more of your music? Are you on, I don't know, all the things. What is it called?
I'm on all of the places.
All of the places.
Yes, all of the places. You can find me on Facebook. My name is spelled a little strangely, as you can see. It's like Adele, but without the L. So if you get that, then you can find the rest pretty easily. I'm listed as Addie Rocket Dancy on all social media platforms and on all streaming platforms as well.
Perfect. Okay, so more homework for you guys. Box breathing. Go like Caesar's Facebook page and support him through social media, and go listen to Addie's music everywhere you have it. So I know I have YouTube music. I know some people have Spotify. I'm sure we have iTunes or Pandora people. I don't know, whatever. Make sure you guys are listening. Somebody wants to know, what's your cat's name? Do you have a cat?
Her name is Kaya.
Kaya the cat. Oh, perfect. All right, we expect a song about Kaya next time we hear from you, right?
Very good idea.
Right? Okay, see, here we are, just inspiring you. All right, fantastic. Well, with that, Addie, thank you again for playing for us. I don't think I had anything else to talk to you guys about. Please join us next week, same time, same place. We're going to be here every Sunday at 11 a.m. via Zoom. Thank you again to all of our guests, Addie for playing music, Nikki for speaking with us about her community or their community moment, and then Caesar again for teaching us about the Mind Power Foundation. With that, we love you all, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.